Psychiatrists are disproportionately sex offenders. So, it's come out, Jim Jones was a CIA agent, and a lot of you don't know this, and you're going to look for it, and it's going to be hard for you to find a valid source. And I can't remember where I found the valid source, because it's something I dug up years ago, and I was reminded by a Dr. John Hall video, I think it was yesterday. So, the CIA starts cults, and ultimately secret societies, and cults started the CIA, which in turn started cults. It goes back to plausible deniability, layers of security. And when people do their investigations, the people in charge, the head of the CIA, the police chief, they say, you know what, stop the investigation right there. Don't look at these people. We're not gonna go that far. And anybody who knows anything about it knows that, there is ritual rape. Rape is part of rituals, and it's also part of psychology, where we get the word sadism. And being sadistic is the Marquis de Sade, who used to whip and sexually abuse women and men as well, little boys. And sometimes he would rape them for the added pleasure to see them suffer. So, like I said in part one, it is impossible to look into it and not to come to the conclusion. To look into it and be thorough, to do a fair, thorough investigation into the occult and secret societies and not come to the conclusion that they run society. It is impossible. There's a lot of evidence that kind of paints the picture, and there's a lot of definitive evidence as well. And when you put the two together, it paints a clear picture. Now, you are going to have people who say that I have an overactive imagination and things of this nature. Absolute nonsense. Okay? Absolute nonsense. I know without any doubt, I would stake my life on it, that secret societies control society. There are millions of Freemasons alone in America, and you think they just happen to be the rich people and they don't network. When you look into what the reasons for joining, one of the major reasons that comes up, and I would go as far as say the major reason, is for networking purposes. They know that if you're going to make it to the higher levels in life, if you're going to be successful, you're better off being a Freemason. Society is absolutely wicked and evil. My father, for instance, did everything they want him to do. He was, very polite. He didn't become politically active. He, made friends with Jews and white people, and, spent decades as a brain surgeon in San Jose, one of the most populated cities in America, like the 11th largest city or something. And so as he's been trying to take his business off for years and years, they didn't allow him to, because it's about evil. It's about mind control and population control with these people. It is not about, just about doing what they say. You can do what they say and still be fucked in life. A lot of you are finding that out the hard way. There's a lot of teachers who barely makes ends meet, who are in secret societies, who do everything they tell them to do, and they've made the mistake of allowing them to have something over their head, and so they're stuck in this kind of ignorant state of living. When the people who we consider the most educated among us, perhaps teachers and professors, are regretting their decision to join a secret society, what does that say about secret societies in general? We know that part of the history of America was people were fleeing persecution. We know that part of the history of World War II was that Hitler persecuted Freemasons partially because they were helping to hide Jews, because Masonry is highly influenced by the Kabbalah, the Talmud, and Judaism, and occult Jews. So when you truly look at everything, history makes it quite clear that these secret societies have been around for, thousands of years. And for those of you who don't get it, if you don't know who these people are, I hope you would look them up. Imagine George Soros, Henry Kissinger, George Bush, David Rockefeller, and Zbigniew Brzezinski all sitting at a table, brainstorming how they could do things in a way that gives them more power and more influence and more domination. Think for a second. Let that soak in for a moment. You see, that scenario is pretty much how the world works. You have a bunch of chicken neck, evil looking old men who are under a bunch of occult scum. Okay, the occult societies include a lot of, 30, 40, 50-year-olds, etc., who are very clean looking, not as marked on. I have marks on my face, little pimples and little, not moles, but little, black dots and so on. Okay, but these people, they tend to have, because they know the tricks of the trade, including what do you call it, cosmetics and stuff like that. So they and taking care of your skin and health and so on. But they don't exactly share them with you. And part of that, and that's very interesting too, because if you get, say you have a bacteria that a lot of people have, if everybody knows to put, this certain antibacterial cream on their face, for example, then this bacteria has a higher chance of becoming resistant because it's constantly faced with this, and eventually, it's going to increase the speed in which it evolves to deal with it, and the cream no longer is effective. So part of it is selfishness. Part of it is that they don't want it to lose this, its attributes, so it becomes obsolete. But ultimately, these people, with them, everything is like that situation I just described. They're keeping it all to themselves. Now, if somebody was to go in there and just shoot them all, blow them up, okay, it would be very courageous, very respectful, very honorable, very sane. But of course they would say that he was insane. And they would say we need to drug the population more, make them submit. The same people who are disproportionately rapists, the same people on record who have been caught abusing technology to rape and blackmail people. On record. There's no doubt about that. Not just Snowden and Assange and the countless whistleblowers. Obama has prosecuted tons of whistleblowers. I've heard he's prosecuted more whistleblowers than the last 3 presidents combined. I don't know if this is true or not, but I believe it. His administration, that is. He's prosecuted more whistleblowers than the last 3 presidents combined. And so, their administrations. So, what does this tell us about secret societies? And then you have, once they got, you see, the problem with a lot of these agencies, where there were some agencies that were on the take, there's some agencies that kind of were on the take, and they kind of, they fucked up. So the problem was that the people on the take weren't able to give the mafia a heads up because they didn't know all of what the other agencies were doing. Special investigations, DEA, FBI, ATF, and so on and so forth. So what did the Patriot Act and all this stuff? Intelligence agencies started sharing information more. At first they didn't trust each other. We're not going to share it with you. We're not going to share it with you. For a good reason. Because there was leaks everywhere, moles everywhere, everyone's corrupt. But now that they're sharing information, they know what the other guy knows. So then they say, hey, guess what? These people know that you're doing this. And they know this much about you. So you're going to have to adjust your plan. You see how that works? Do you see how that works? Now, the worst criminals, including organized crime and these satanic cults, have the technology they need, have the private corporations with private data and invading your privacy, and they have this sharing of information that they need to stay 10 steps ahead of anybody who would stop them. Fucking scum. You know what? I'm going to end it right there. Some punk ass. So anyway, as I was interrupted by complete bootlickers, the telemarketers just happened to call while I'm making a video. So you see a bunch of rapists are dang stalking people. Okay? A bunch of criminals. There are so many examples of politicians and secret society members who've infiltrated religious institutions, mafia, sex trafficking. I mean, the people on record who rape people, the military. I want you all to ask yourselves, if you asked that guy who was in the news who got dishonorably discharged, I mean, the irony of a bunch of dishonorable scum dishonorably discharging a soldier for doing something honorable. They're like, look, I mean, everything is backwards. Okay? I mean, if you would ask this guy, does the military Does the government and the military and the CIA turn a blind eye to the allies of the people in charge when they rape? What do you think he would say? He would say, of course they do. What are you, a fuck? You've been living under a rock? The people in charge are control freaks. They're rapists. They're pedophiles. They're Satanists in cults. And cults are the ones who set the cultures and the trends. Now, a lot of you will say, you know, some of you watching this, I'm a gang member. I never heard of any of this, because you are not in the know. You haven't got the memo, so to speak. The way gangs operate there is a inner circle of secret society members. Then there are secret society members in different gangs, making sure that they can maintain, in charge of maintenance of the whole agenda. Little helpers. Okay, but the ones who are in the inner circle, they are given, and I know this for a fact. I know this for a fact. I've caught them red fucking handed. I know this for a fact. Now, they're inner circles, and they're told what to do. And they're told what to do by the people that they are afraid of. They'll never admit that, but that's how it is. These people are government scum. It's not that they're necessarily tougher than the gang members. It's that they're heavily involved in psychology, and they've studied human nature, and they studied for thousands of years. They have research from thousands of years of looking for ways to make people give in. You know, you don't really see people like me that often who are far tougher than all the New World Order put together and impossible to break. Most people are just human. You know, you hear that saying, they're only human. But anyway, they're given their marching orders, and they set the trends. They crease up their Levi's a certain way. They rock their hat a certain way, and it goes back to being, you know, they watch NFL and they talk about football. They do things a certain way that feeds into the profits of the New World Order. They own the NFL. They own the sports memorabilia, the sports, you know, apparel. They own the Nike, and Nike, like I told you before, is a pagan goddess. Levi, you know, goes back to one of the bloodlines of the Illuminati. It's owned by, you know, secret societies. What the fuck is this? Did I just answer this motherfucking phone? Hello? Hello? Goodbye. I'm just complete trash. You see how they're trying to stop me, you know? And you see how I got upset for a good reason? That's what I'm talking about. That was a different number, a different telemarketer within 5 minutes. You know, I stopped the last video and, you know, and made this. Oh shit, I'm over the 15-minute mark. I'm gonna have to end it there. Thank you.